Bellator back with a bang Saturday, 268, and the semifinals of the World Grand Prix Light Heavyweight Tournament. Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, Morning Kombat right here. But what you see right there is a true master at his game. They call him Darth, okay? It is Ryan Bader, your Bellator heavyweight champion, looking to regain that 205 crown. He's going to take one step closer on Saturday against Corey Anderson. Mr. Bader, a pleasure to speak with you. Semi-final time. How you feeling?
I see what you did there, buddy.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm so glad you called him out on that. He's been killing me with that same one too.
Yeah, I feel awesome. My weight's on point. This is my third fight at light heavyweight in the past 3 fights, and so I've got that dialed in perfectly. Feel great. Camp went great. No injuries, all that. So that's the number one thing. Mindset's awesome. I'm here at home in Phoenix in front of friends and family, and couldn't be more excited.
Ryan, you'll be taking on Corey Anderson, who recently joined Bellator. House of Fire, looking good in his performances to get to this point. But you know what we want. We want that real-ish, that backroom business that went on where he's going on interviews and saying Ryan and Team Bader knows what they know about, what is this, a sparring session, some ass-kicking with the cameras off. What's the real right here, bro?
Dude, so I brought him in twice, when I fought Phil Davis. The first time we couldn't even train because he got kicked in the eye and I split his eye open. And then he keeps talking about this other training session. I'm in the middle of damn camp, dog tired. And we went back and forth in sparring. I know because you might have got a takedown in sparring or something like that, so I don't know what he's holding on to there. I get my ass whooped all the time in sparring by everybody. I'm a gamer. I show up when it's game time. We're not talking about practice here, and so, it's just funny that he's holding on to that. That one was 5-6 years ago, so if he thinks he's fighting that guy that was at training, at practice, he's going to have a extreme rude awakening when the actual fight, comes around,
Well, why do you think he's going to that? You think he's just trying to promote a fight, or do you think like in his heart of hearts, he's actually like, wow, dude, I could kick Ryan Bader's ass?
I don't think so. I think, he came over to Bellator, he wants to reinvent himself and talk a little more and kind of go that route. Maybe that's that. I don't know, because UFC is always meek and mild and all that. And then he comes over here, gets paid a little bit more and starts kind of mouthing off a little bit. Maybe it's that. Who knows? We'll just, we'll settle it on Saturday night.
All right. So still though, he is a good fighter. He is in the he's in the semifinals with you for a reason. I ask this question a lot as a sort of a way to get to where your head is at. When you examine what your key tasks are in this fight, what are they?
Yeah, he does well at volume. He's always in great shape, and he gets after those guys that really can't wrestle, and drags them into deep waters. For me, I just feel like my wrestling is superior, but I feel like my MMA wrestling is a lot better. He's one of those guys that kind of needs to push you on the cage, takes long shots, where I'm the guy that'll blow you off your feet, and so, there's that dynamic. You got to worry about the takedown. You got to worry about him being on top. He has good ground and pound, but I'm not going to just sit and let him mount me and drop elbows on me, so I've been in this game a long time. I got power in my hands, both hands. He's been knocked out a lot. I put my heavy hands on him, he goes out.
But Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of times when two stud wrestlers get together in the MMA cage, we hear both speak about how great they believe their wrestling is going to be against the other. And then we see a 5-round boxing match, which sometimes, Covington versus Usman, that was great. Well, we've also seen slower point fight ones. You against Phil Davis was a very tactical affair. Is this going to be where the wrestling cancels each other out and we don't even try it? Or do you see yourself really establishing a tone on the ground?
I want to call Phil Davis and I tactical. That was just kind of boring. We match up.
Yeah. He's fair.
No,
He's
I know
fair.
we match up terribly for the fans, and it is what it is. But this fight, I feel like, with the pace that he brings and the pace that I bring, usually I think it's going to be an amazing fight for us, amazing fight for the fans. I think there's going to be, a lot of stand up in there, and I'm not going to just go in there and box. I'm going to try to take him down. I'm going to try to knock him out. I'm going to be a complete mixed martial artist. That's what makes me good, and that's what makes me dangerous. You don't know if I'm changing levels, I'm taking you down, or if I'm striking, and so I'm looking to do everything. I'm going to look to, get my openings. I've been in a ton of 5-round fights. He really hasn't. So That's an advantage. I know his cardio is always there, but it's one of those things where I just feel like I get the right opening. I take advantage of that for sure and put him away.
This is one thing I think gets lost about you a little bit here, Ryan. You've been marching to the beat of your own drum for a while. You made your pro debut in 2007. 2007, a long time ago, and so here we are in 2021. Tell me the biggest and most important lesson in terms of prize fighting that you have learned over the course of, 14, 15 years?
Yeah, just believe in yourself and don't beat yourself. There's times when you're younger, your mentality is not all the way there. You don't know if you belong. I remember before, a couple UFC fights, and I'm like, am I at this level? Fighting whoever it was at the time, Rampage or whatever, and I get to the point where there's around the Rashad Evans fight, where I'm like, I am the best in the world. I can be the best in the world, and believed it. And went out there and just kind of let it flow. And that's when I really turned the corner. And, my mentality right now is amazing. I've had close to 35 fights, and so just bringing that mentality in where it's just another day at the office here. This is what I love to do, and be free out there, let it go. I've trained my butt off this whole time. And so why not be successful? Don't beat yourself. Let it all out there, and you'll get your hand raised.
Okay, but that's competing in the cage. I guess I would ask it a slightly different way. What about navigating the industry? What lesson have you really sort of learned and it's dawned on you over time as a true fact you have to accept?
I don't know. I was always just been myself. MMA industry can be fickle and weird at times, and from anything from politics in the organizations to sponsors, all that kind of stuff. And so I don't watch too many fights. I don't. I go to the gym and I train, and that's when my MMA mind and brain is on. And then when it's off, when I'm out, it's off. I'm not thinking about MMA too much, and so I go train, do my thing, show up for fights, and forget about it.
Anthony Rumble Johnson, a former opponent of yours, was supposed to be in the main event on Saturday. Of course, he pulled out with an illness where we don't know the details. We wish him well. Obviously, Julius Anglitskis gets that last-minute opportunity. But to get to this point in the tournament, you ran back a loss against Lyoto Machida and were able to, like Billy Madison, sit on the couch, cross that one off the list. Glad I called that guy. Maybe put the lipstick on and lay down. Are you any part of you to see Anthony Rumble Johnson fall out? Is that relief because you faced him in the past and he's dangerous as heck? Or did you also want a chance at running back that?
Yeah, I didn't want to see him fall out. I like Anthony. We're friends and all that. And hopefully he gets his issues dealt with. And what I liked about having those two on the other side is redemption no matter what, whoever won. If it was Anthony Johnson, cool. I get to, go in there and get redemption on that loss, and same with Nemkov, and so yeah, it took a hit, but I just got to do what I got to do on mine. Of these Grand Prix tournaments is kind of how I approached the heavyweight. I kept my head down and worried about that fight right there, and I got it done. And pretty soon I was in the finals, and pretty soon, Fedor was on the ground, and I had a belt around my waist, and so I'm just doing my job. I can't control those variables, and so I don't really think about them.
All right, in line with that, if you win on Saturday and if the champion, Vadim Nemkov, defeats the late replacement, Julius Anglitskis, you'd get that chance that we're talking about, another chance at redemption for a loss. This one, the most recent for the title. I've heard you be very open and honest and say, look, there were other things sort of going on in my life, and maybe that played into that wasn't my best performance. Of course, you'd like another crack. That's why you're back in this tournament going for it. Some people looked at that as honesty, and other people are like, oh, he's just making excuses.
Yeah.
It's not always, it's a fickle world. That's not really what I'm asking you. I'm saying, how compromised were you, even if it's just on mental focus in terms of what was going on entering that camp?
Yeah, let me preface it. At the end of the day, I took the fight and I got kicked in the head, and I got beat. Plain and simple. That's what it is. Now the excuses come in. I tore my MCL pretty much almost completely, 12 weeks prior to that fight, and couldn't do any ground or anything like that. I was thinking, all right, I'm fighting heavyweight anyway, so I can get through this. I don't have to do too much ground. And 4 weeks prior, I was able to kind of start grappling a little bit. And then they told me, hey, Nemkov can get into the country on a visa. Granted, this is during the pandemic, and so there was a lot of variables going on. And can you fight? I didn't know what I was going to fight again. Who knows if it was going to close down indefinitely, whatever. So I said, sure, let's do it. And so I had to make that cut, down to 205 in 4 weeks when I thought I was fighting heavyweight. And But moral of the story, I took that fight and I got kicked in the head and I lost. And so it is what it is.
So, do you regret taking the fight? Like, if you could do it all over again, would you?
Probably not. You know, my coach at times after the fight, he didn't tell me then, but he kind of hinted at it. And I'm like, no, I'm good. We're fighting, whatever. And then afterwards, he kind of said, you know, I wanted to pull you out of that fight. You know, but we didn't know. We didn't know the timing and all that. If it wasn't during the pandemic, yeah, I probably would have pulled out. But that could be my last fight for a couple of years if this thing kept going like it was going. Right. So we took the fight. You know, it's all on us. Whatever. We lost, but we get redemption. You know, it's not an immediate rematch. We get to do it by coming through a Grand Prix tournament and potentially facing him in the finals and win the belt back that way.
You know, this would be an amazing win if you got it, right? Because here you would have the story of the UFC run, then you could be captured the light heavyweight belt here, then you become a champ. You lose. You still obviously, you know, doing great things over at heavyweight, but it's on ice for right now. If you recapture this to become a two-time champ, or just to beat the guy that beat you previously, even with all the other circumstances, I would have to imagine this ranks pretty high on the list for you in terms of your MMA wins. How do you place it if it comes to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, to be a two-time champion, you know, I mean, that's really hasn't been done. I don't know if it has, but not only that, to go win 2 different Grand Prix at 2 different weight classes, you know, and I always thought back and, you know, I'm like, all right, regardless, I've had some good wins, but, you know, beating Fedor in the finals, winning that heavyweight Grand Prix was the pinnacle of my career, you know, and I would never have an opportunity really to beat that. You know, and then they come in and they're like, all right, we're doing a light heavyweight Grand Prix, you know, and so I do have the opportunity to potentially beat that, you know. So, I mean, that's huge. It's something that motivates me. I came over to Bellator to do different stuff like that and to be able to participate in these Grand Prix style tournaments, to become a double champion and potential to become double champion again. You know, who can say that? So I'm ready, put in the work. Starts right here with Anderson.
For me, it's sort of interesting too, man. You've done a lot at this point. If you become a 2-time champ, you're 38. I don't mean to say that you're out the door tomorrow, but I am sort of suggesting like this would be, I guess my question would be, if you get all this done, obviously you got business with Corey Anderson first, but let's say you get it all done, what would be left?
Make money, defend my belts. You know, at the end of the day, too, it's a career. I get paid really well. And so that's a huge motivational factor going into these fights.
It's easy. I'll answer for him, Luke. Run back every single L. All right? We already got Machida off that list. It ends with John Jones running them all back. All right? All right?
It might.
Okay? It might do it. I did want to ask you about the Bellator heavyweight division. You are idle at the moment. An interim belt was created, a fight between Valentin Moldavsky and Tim Johnson. Moldavsky outlasting him there. Tim Johnson rebounded going to see Fedor. Any thoughts on what you've left behind? Were you happy that an interim belt was created? Do you think that's an insult at you? Where are you sort of at?
Yeah, I know. I get it. You know, I talked to Scott. Scott called me on that. Yeah, it is what it is. It just makes it for a bigger fight. You know, they promised me with all these you know, switching weight classes. The thing was, you know, because I want to be active, and they said you are going to keep that belt if you go up and fight at heavyweight or vice versa. I said, all right. You know, they promised me that, and so when they did an interim belt, I wasn't too fazed by it. It is what it is, and makes it for a bigger fight. You know, interim and the undisputed championship of the world there, and so yeah, it is what it is. I wasn't too concerned.
All right. We can't wait for this fight on Saturday night. You against Corey Anderson. I said it's the sneaky fight of the night. I think it'll steal the headlines, although we will see the title being contended in the main event. Ryan Bader, thank you so much for your time. Bellator 268, only on Showtime this Saturday. Go out there and get it done, all right?
I appreciate it, guys.
Good shit.
Thank you, Ryan.